If bees vanished tomorrow, the world would not collapse overnight. It would fade. Slowly, quietly. Crops would fail, forests would thin, ecosystems would unravel, and food chains would begin to fracture. At first, the change would seem subtle: fewer fruits, fewer flowers, fewer colors. But behind that silence, a deep biological crisis would be unfolding. These tiny creatures, often ignored, are among the greatest architects of life on Earth. Their story is not one of brute strength or dominance, but of adaptation, patience, and an evolutionary journey that quietly reshaped the planet. And it all began millions of years ago with a small shift in behavior that would change everything. Long before bees existed, their ancestors were hunters, predatory insects, closer to wasps than to the gentle pollinators we know today. But as flowering plants spread across the planet, some of these insects began experimenting with a new food source: nectar. This single choice triggered a chain reaction of transformations. Bodies changed. Behavior shifted. New survival strategies emerged. Over time, wings, hairs, and sensory systems evolved to collect pollen with astonishing efficiency. What started as a simple search for sugar became one of the most important biological partnerships in Earth's history. And this quiet alliance between insects and flowers would soon give birth to something extraordinary, a living system so precise, so organized, that it would function almost like a single organism. But the real miracle was still about to reveal itself. As flowering plants spread across the planet, a silent partnership began to take shape. Flowers offered nectar, a rich source of energy. Bees, in return, unknowingly became messengers of life. Every time a bee landed on a flower, grains of pollen clung to its tiny hairs. When it visited the next bloom, part of that pollen was transferred, allowing plants to reproduce. This simple movement, repeated billions of times each day, transformed landscapes. Forests expanded, grasslands flourished, and entire ecosystems gained the ability to regenerate themselves. What seemed like a random encounter was, in fact, the engine behind one of the most complex biological systems on Earth. Over time, this relationship became incredibly precise. Bees developed preferences, learning to focus on specific types of flowers during each foraging trip. This specialization increased efficiency, ensuring that pollen reached the right destination. Plants, in turn, evolved colors, shapes, and scents designed to attract their perfect pollinators. Bright petals, ultraviolet patterns invisible to human eyes, and delicate fragrances all became part of a sophisticated biological language. It was no longer just survival, it was cooperation refined by millions of years of evolution. And with every successful pollination, life quietly renewed itself. But the true scale of this partnership goes far beyond flowers and fields. The fruits, seeds, and crops that sustain countless animal species, including humans, depend directly on this invisible exchange. Every orchard, every harvest, every meal carries the silent imprint of a bee's flight. Without them, entire food webs would begin to unravel, one fragile link at a time. And yet behind this vast ecological impact lies something even more astonishing: an internal organization so complex, so efficient, that it rivals the most advanced human systems. To understand how this is possible, we must step inside the heart of the colony itself. At first glance, a beehive may seem like pure chaos: thousands of bodies in constant motion, wings vibrating, antennae touching, a low hum filling the air. But beneath this apparent disorder lies a system of astonishing precision. Every movement has purpose. Every interaction carries meaning. Inside the hive, no effort is wasted, no role is random. It is a living network where each individual contributes to the survival of the whole. And remarkably, this immense coordination unfolds without leaders giving orders, without written rules, and without centralized control. The colony is built upon a delicate balance of roles. Some bees care for the young, feeding and protecting fragile larvae. Others shape wax into intricate geometric structures, creating storage chambers for food and nurseries for future generations. Guards stand watch at the entrance, ready to defend against intruders. Foragers venture far beyond the safety of the hive, navigating complex landscapes in search of nectar and pollen. Each task flows naturally into the next, forming a seamless cycle of labor that adapts constantly to the colony's needs. This flexibility is the secret behind the hive's resilience, a society capable of reorganizing itself in moments of crisis. Yet at the center of this vast network stands a single figure whose presence holds everything together. Without her, the hive would slowly unravel, its rhythms faltering, its future uncertain. She does not command, yet her influence shapes every life within the colony. Her existence is both fragile and powerful, and her story reveals one of nature's most extraordinary biological mysteries. To understand the true heart of the hive, we must now turn our attention to the queen. From the moment she is born, the queen's destiny is different. While thousands of larvae around her receive ordinary nourishment, she is fed a rare and powerful substance, royal jelly, a food so rich that it completely reshapes her biology. This single difference changes everything. Her body grows larger, her lifespan stretches far beyond that of any other bee, and her reproductive system develops to extraordinary capacity. In a world where most bees live only weeks, she may live for years. But her power is not built on dominance. Is built on continuity. Every egg she lays is a promise that the colony will endure. Day and night, she moves through the hive, surrounded by a small circle of attendants who feed, clean, and protect her. Her presence releases chemical signals that ripple across the colony, quietly guiding behavior, maintaining harmony, and preventing chaos. Without these invisible messages, confusion would spread, and the delicate balance of the hive would collapse. In this way, the queen becomes both anchor and compass, the silent force that holds thousands of lives in sync. Yet, despite her central role, she is never truly independent. Her survival depends entirely on the collective devotion of the workers around her. And still, even a queen is not eternal. As time weakens her body, the colony senses the change. New larvae are selected. Royal jelly flows once more. A successor begins to rise. In this carefully orchestrated transition, life prepares itself for renewal. But this fragile continuity would be impossible without an army of tireless workers, individuals who sacrifice comfort, safety, and even life itself to sustain the hive. Their story is one of relentless dedication, and it reveals the true engine behind this living system. A worker bee's life begins in darkness. Emerging from her cell, she enters a world already in motion, where urgency and purpose shape every second. There is no training period, no hesitation. Instinct and biology guide her first tasks, cleaning the hive, preparing cells, tending to fragile larvae. These early days are spent deep inside the colony, where warmth, scent, and constant vibration form her entire universe. Here, she learns the rhythm of collective survival, where every small action sustains thousands of lives. As she grows, her role transforms. Wax glands awaken, allowing her to sculpt the delicate architecture of the hive. Perfect hexagonal chambers rise under her careful touch, forming storage rooms for honey and nurseries for future generations. Later, she becomes a guardian, standing watch at the hive's entrance, ready to confront threats far larger than herself. Each stage of her life brings new responsibilities, new risks, and new sacrifices. And yet, none of these roles are chosen. They unfold naturally, shaped by age, chemistry, and the ever-changing needs of a colony. Then comes the most dangerous phase of all, the moment she becomes a forager. Leaving the safety of the hive, she ventures into a vast and unpredictable world. Wind, rain, predators, and exhaustion become constant companions. She navigates complex landscapes, memorizing landmarks, reading the sun, and calculating distances with astonishing precision. Every flight is a gamble. Every return is a triumph. And with each journey, she carries back not just nectar and pollen, but the lifeblood of an entire colony. Her lifespan is painfully short. Weeks, sometimes only days, separate her birth from her final flight. Yet in that brief window, her contribution is immeasurable. She will travel distances that, relative to her size, rival epic migrations. She will build, defend, nurture, and gather, all without rest, reward, or recognition. And still, the survival of the hive does not depend solely on her. Another figure, often misunderstood, plays a dramatic role in the continuation of life itself. Their fate is brief, intense, and irreversible. Unlike the workers, drones are born with a destiny already written. They do not clean the hive, do not build wax chambers, and do not venture into the wild in search of food. From the very beginning, their existence revolves around a single purpose: to ensure the future of the colony. Their lives are shaped by patience and waiting, fueled by the nourishment provided by the tireless workers around them. For days, sometimes weeks, they grow stronger, unaware that their entire fate will be decided in a single, irreversible event. That moment arrives during the queen's mating flight. High above the ground, far from the safety of a hive, drones gather in vast aerial arenas where speed, strength, and instinct determine everything. Only a few will succeed. Those that do fulfill their biological mission in midair, passing on their genetic legacy. But the cost is absolute. The act of reproduction marks the end of their lives. In a single instant, purpose is fulfilled and existence ends. It is one of nature's most dramatic exchanges, life given so that life may continue. For those who fail to mate, survival is only temporary. As seasons change and resources become scarce, the colony makes a ruthless decision. Drones, no longer essential, are expelled from a hive, left to face hunger and cold alone. It is a harsh conclusion, yet one rooted in survival. Every drop of energy must serve the greater good. And within this unforgiving logic lies a deeper truth. In the world of bees, nothing exists without purpose. Even communication, silent, complex, and precise, becomes a tool for survival. And it is through this invisible language that the hive truly becomes one. Inside the hive, silence does not exist. Instead, information flows through movement, vibration, scent, and rhythm. Bees do not speak, yet they communicate with extraordinary precision. A returning forager does not simply bring nectar, she brings news. Through a carefully choreographed dance, she maps the invisible, translating distance, direction, and abundance into a language of motion. A slight change in angle reveals the position of the sun. The tempo of her steps signals how far the journey will be. In these brief performances, entire landscapes are compressed into living instructions, allowing thousands of bees to navigate the world with astonishing accuracy. But movement alone is not enough. Chemical signals weave through the hive like invisible threads, carrying warnings, commands, and reassurance. A single drop of alarm pheromone can transform calm order into immediate defense. Subtle scents regulate social harmony, ensuring cooperation and preventing chaos. Together, dance and chemistry form a communication system so refined that the colony functions almost like a single mind, constantly updating itself in real time. Each bee becomes both messenger and receiver, shaping collective decisions that balance risk, efficiency, and survival. This silent intelligence allows the hive to adapt instantly to changing environments, blooming fields, sudden storms, approaching threats. It is this coordination that makes large-scale pollination possible, turning countless individual flights into a synchronized ecological force. And as these messages guide bees from flower to flower, they trigger a chain reaction that reshapes entire ecosystems. What begins as a simple dance inside the hive soon becomes one of the most powerful biological processes on Earth. Every time a bee lands on a flower, something extraordinary begins. Tiny grains of pollen cling to her body, hitching a ride to the next bloom. This simple act, repeated billions of times each day, becomes the engine of regeneration. Forests breathe through it. Fields depend on it. Entire food chains rise and fall with its success. Without pollination, landscapes slowly lose their color, diversity fades, and life itself begins to thin. What appears to be a delicate interaction is, in truth, one of the strongest forces shaping the living world. The scale of this process is staggering. Fruits, seeds, vegetables, and nuts, the foundation of both wild ecosystems and human agriculture, exist largely because bees connect plant to plant. Every orchard heavy with fruit, every field of blooming crops, every market filled with fresh food carries the silent signature of their labor. And yet, their work goes unseen, uncelebrated, and often unprotected. Behind each harvest lies a fragile balance, one that depends on countless invisible journeys through air, light, and uncertainty. But pollination is more than productivity, it is resilience. By enabling plants to reproduce and adapt, bees help ecosystems recover from droughts, storms, and environmental change. They safeguard genetic diversity, allowing life to respond to a shifting planet. And in this quiet exchange between insect and flower, a deeper story unfolds, one of interdependence where survival is never isolated. From this delicate alliance emerges another miracle, the transformation of nectar into one of nature's most precious substances. A substance that stores sunlight, memory, and survival itself. When a forager returns to the hive, she does not bring honey. She brings raw nectar, a fragile, watery substance collected from distant flowers. Inside the hive, this liquid begins a remarkable transformation. Passed from mouth to mouth, enriched with enzymes, and slowly thickened by the warm currents of beating wings, nectar becomes honey. It is a process of patience and precision, guided by instinct refined over millions of years. Drop by drop, sunlight stored in flowers is converted into concentrated energy, preserved for times when the world outside grows silent and barren. Honey is more than food, is security. During seasons of abundance, bees work relentlessly, storing reserves that will sustain the colony through cold winters and harsh droughts. Each cell of golden liquid represents countless flights, hidden dangers, and unwavering dedication. And remarkably, honey almost never spoils. Its unique chemistry resists bacteria and decay, allowing it to remain edible for years, even centuries. In this way, the hive builds not just a pantry, but a living archive, a memory of landscapes, climates, and blooming seasons captured in taste and color. Yet this precious substance cannot exist without structure. Honey must be stored, protected, and preserved within an architecture that balances strength and efficiency with mathematical perfection. And so, from warm bodies and tiny wax scales, bees raise one of the most extraordinary constructions in the natural world, a structure that blends beauty, physics, and survival into a single design. From tiny flakes of wax secreted by their own bodies, bees construct one of the most efficient structures ever created by nature. Cell by cell, they shape endless rows of perfect hexagons, forming a honeycomb that is both light and extraordinarily strong. This geometry is no accident. The hexagon allows maximum storage using the least possible material, saving energy while providing unmatched stability. In every wall and angle, there is quiet intelligence, a design so refined that engineers and architects still study it in search of better solutions for human construction. Inside these delicate chambers, life unfolds in perfect order. Some cells store honey, others hold pollen, and many become cradles for developing larvae. Each space has a purpose, each measurement obeys invisible laws of efficiency. Temperature, humidity, and structural balance are constantly regulated, ensuring that the fragile architecture does not collapse under its own weight. What emerges is a living building, one that grows, adapts, and repairs itself continuously, guided not by blueprints, but by instinct shaped across millions of years. Yet even the most flawless architecture requires protection. Hidden within these walls are resources so valuable that they attract relentless threats. Predators, parasites, and invaders are always searching for weakness. And so, beyond beauty and efficiency, the hive must become a fortress. At its entrance, silent sentinels stand ready, prepared to sacrifice everything to defend the fragile order within. At the entrance of a hive, a silent line of guardians stands watch. These bees do not sleep deeply. They do not relax. Every vibration in the air, every unfamiliar scent, every shadow passing near the hive triggers instant alert. Their mission is absolute: protect the colony at all costs. When a threat approaches, chemical signals spread like wildfire, transforming calm order into organized resistance within seconds. What follows is not chaos, but precision, a coordinated defense shaped by instinct and sacrifice. For these guardians, the sting is both weapon and farewell. Once deployed, it marks the end of their life. Yet hesitation does not exist. Faced with danger, they strike without pause, injecting venom that can repel predators far larger than themselves. In these moments, individuality disappears. The survival of thousands outweighs the life of one. This willingness to sacrifice reveals the deepest logic of the hive. The collective is everything. Every fallen defender becomes part of a silent wall that protects future generations. But danger does not always come in obvious forms. Some enemies are stealthy, invading slowly, weakening the colony from within. Parasites, predators, and invasive species constantly test the limits of the hive's resilience. And among these threats are some of the most formidable hunters in the insect world, creatures capable of annihilating entire colonies in mere hours. To face them, bees must rely not only on courage, but on extraordinary strategies born of cooperation and urgency. Beyond the walls of the hive, danger is everywhere. Birds wait patiently near flowering fields, striking with precision. Lizards and frogs snap at passing silhouettes. Mammals, drawn by the scent of honey, tear through hives in moments of raw force. But among all predators, few inspire more fear than giant wasps, relentless invaders capable of wiping out an entire colony in a single assault. When they attack, the sky fills with chaos. Wings collide, bodies fall, and the hive becomes a battlefield where survival is decided in minutes. Yet bees are not defenseless. Against overwhelming enemies, they unleash one of nature's most astonishing tactics. Hundreds of workers swarm a single intruder, forming a living sphere around it. Their bodies vibrate violently, raising the temperature inside the ball until the predator overheats and dies. It is a strategy that turns cooperation into a weapon, proof that intelligence in nature does not always require size or strength, but timing, unity, and sacrifice. In these moments, the hive becomes a single organism, pulsing with urgency and resolve. Still, not all enemies arrive with noise and violence. Some slip in unnoticed. Microscopic parasites attach themselves to fragile bodies, draining strength, spreading disease, and slowly weakening entire colonies. Silent infections can collapse hives from within, leaving behind nothing but empty comb and scattered wings. These invisible threats remind us how fragile this intricate system truly is. Yet even here, resilience persists. Through constant cleaning, grooming, and adaptation, bees fight back, and in doing so, preserve the delicate cycle of life that begins anew with every generation. Every life inside the hive begins as a fragile promise. A single egg, carefully placed within a wax cell, carries the potential to become part of a vast living system. Within days, it transforms into a soft, white larva, entirely dependent on the care of others. Nurse bees feed it relentlessly, providing the precise nutrients needed for growth. In this stage, survival is delicate. Temperature, humidity, and constant attention determine whether life will continue or quietly fade. Each larva represents hope, a future worker, a potential guardian, perhaps even a queen. Sealed inside its cell, the larva undergoes a profound transformation. Wings, eyes, and legs slowly form as its body reshapes itself in darkness. When the adult bee finally emerges, it steps into a world already waiting, guided by instinct and collective rhythm. There is no pause, no childhood, no hesitation. Purpose begins immediately. And in this seamless transition from vulnerability to function, the hive reveals one of its deepest truths. Every ending is a beginning, every life a thread woven into something far greater than itself. Inside the hive, temperature is a matter of life and death. A few degrees too cold, and fragile larvae fail to develop. Too hot, and the delicate wax structures begin to soften. Yet, despite brutal winters, scorching summers, and unpredictable weather, bees maintain their home within a narrow thermal window. They do this not with machines or technology, but with coordination, instinct, and relentless effort. Thousands of tiny bodies move in perfect synchrony, transforming the hive into a living climate control system. During intense heat, workers gather at the entrance, beating their wings in unison to create powerful air currents that cool the interior. Others collect microscopic droplets of water, spreading them across the comb so evaporation can lower the temperature. In winter, the strategy reverses. Bees cluster tightly around the queen, vibrating their muscles to generate warmth, forming a living furnace that keeps the colony alive even as snow blankets the world outside. They rotate positions continuously, ensuring no individual bears the full burden of the cold. Is cooperation turned into survival engineering? This remarkable adaptability allows bees to thrive from frozen mountains to burning deserts, from tropical forests to temperate plains. But survival depends on more than climate control alone. At the center of this resilience lies a rare substance, one capable of shaping destiny, altering biology, and deciding the future of the colony itself. A substance that turns ordinary larvae into queens and holds the power to rewrite the hive's hierarchy. Inside the hive, destiny is decided not by genetics alone, but by nourishment. Among thousands of larvae that appear nearly identical, a select few receive a rare and powerful food, royal jelly. This creamy substance produced by young worker bees is packed with proteins, hormones, and nutrients capable of completely rewriting biological fate. Fed exclusively on this elixir, a larva does not become a worker. It becomes a queen. Its body grows larger, its organs develop differently, and its lifespan extends far beyond that of any other bee. With a change in diet, an ordinary life is transformed into extraordinary purpose. The process is both precise and urgent. When a colony senses that its queen is weakening or lost, workers act immediately. They select young larvae and flood their cells with royal jelly, triggering a race against time. Within days, new queens begin to emerge, each carrying the potential to inherit the throne. In some species, multiple queens are born, leading to dramatic confrontations until only one remains. It is a moment where biology, competition, and survival intersect, a powerful reminder that even within perfect organization, nature allows no space for uncertainty. Yet royal jelly does more than create queens. In small doses, it nourishes young workers, strengthening their glands and preparing them for the immense tasks ahead. Its production demands enormous effort from a hive, making it one of the colony's most precious resources. And in this delicate balance between sacrifice and renewal, we glimpse the true intelligence of a hive, a system capable not only of survival, but of adaptation, foresight, and strategic choice. But perhaps the most astonishing aspect of bee life lies beyond chemistry and instinct, hidden within their tiny brains. For creatures with brains no larger than a grain of sand, bees display a level of intelligence that continues to astonish scientists. They memorize complex landscapes, recognize visual patterns, calculate distances, and adjust their routes based on past experiences. Each flight becomes a lesson, each journey a mental map refined through trial and memory. In this miniature mind, perception and decision-making unfold at extraordinary speed, allowing bees to navigate vast territories with remarkable accuracy. Their world is not instinct alone. It is learning, adaptation, and problem-solving in constant motion. Even more surprising, experiments reveal that bees can perform simple mathematical tasks, distinguishing quantities and recognizing numerical patterns. They can assess reward, evaluate risk, and even change strategies when conditions shift. Within the hive, this individual intelligence merges into collective wisdom, shaping decisions that affect thousands of lives. In these tiny beings, we find a powerful reminder: complexity does not depend on size. And as this shared intelligence ripples outward, it reshapes ecosystems on a global scale, binding insects, plants, animals, and humans into a single living network. Across forests, grasslands, farms, and mountains, the silent work of bees shapes the rhythm of life itself. Every seed carried forward, every fruit formed, every flower renewed echoes their invisible presence. Entire ecosystems lean on this fragile connection, depending on pollination to regenerate, adapt, and survive. Without bees, landscapes would slowly lose their diversity, becoming quieter, poorer, and more vulnerable. The disappearance would not be sudden, but devastating, a slow erosion of life that would ripple across continents. Human civilization stands deeply intertwined with this delicate balance. Nearly a third of the food we consume depends directly on pollinators. From orchards heavy with apples to fields of vegetables and nuts, bees sustain global agriculture and food security. Their labor supports not only nutrition, but economies, livelihoods, and cultural traditions built around farming. In their absence, scarcity would rise, prices would soar, and hunger would spread. What seems like a natural process is, in reality, one of the strongest pillars supporting modern society. Yet their influence extends far beyond human needs. Countless species of birds, mammals, insects, and microorganisms rely on the fruits and seeds that bees help create. In this vast web of interdependence, bees act as silent architects, maintaining the stability of entire food chains. Their disappearance would trigger cascading collapses, reshaping life in unpredictable ways. And still, despite their resilience and adaptability, bees face environments that are changing faster than ever before, forcing them into new battles for survival. From frozen mountain ranges to scorching deserts, bees have conquered some of the most hostile environments on Earth. In icy regions, colonies cluster tightly, vibrating their muscles to generate warmth and preserve precious energy. In burning landscapes, some species shift their activity to dawn and dusk, avoiding lethal daytime heat. In dense tropical forests, bees navigate complex canopies, while in open grasslands, they travel vast distances across exposed terrain. Each environment demands new strategies, and through millions of years, bees have evolved a breathtaking range of solutions to survive. But today, adaptation is being tested like never before. Rapid climate shifts, shrinking habitats, and changing flowering seasons are disrupting the delicate rhythms bees depend on. Blooms arrive too early or vanish too quickly. Familiar landscapes transform into fragmented patches. The ancient synchrony between insect and plant begins to falter. In this unstable world, bees are forced to rewrite survival strategies in real time, relying on flexibility, memory, and collective intelligence to endure. Still, resilience remains their greatest strength. Colonies adjust foraging patterns, expand their range, and exploit new floral resources when old ones disappear. This quiet adaptability allows them to persist where many species would fail. And yet, their future and ours depends on whether this ancient partnership can withstand the speed of modern change. As we arrive at the final chapter of their story, one question lingers. What does the fate of bees reveal about the fate of life on Earth itself? In the quiet flight of a bee, the future of entire ecosystems unfolds. These tiny beings, fragile and often overlooked, sustain forests, fields, and food chains with tireless dedication. Every journey between flowers weaves invisible threads that hold life together. Their world is built on cooperation, balance, and relentless effort, values that echo far beyond the hive. And as environmental pressures grow, the resilience of bees becomes a mirror reflecting our own responsibility. Their survival is no longer just a matter of biology. It is a measure of how carefully humanity chooses to coexist with nature. Protecting bees means protecting the foundations of life itself. It means preserving habitats, safeguarding biodiversity, and respecting the delicate rhythms that sustain our planet. In their endless labor, bees remind us that even the smallest creatures can carry the greatest impact. Their story is one of unity, sacrifice, and silent strength, a testament to the intricate beauty of the natural world. And as long as their wings continue to hum across landscapes, life will persist, renewed with every bloom, every harvest, and every breath of living earth. Subscribe to the channel to discover more amazing places like this, and see you in the video on the screen.